Hey, everybody, it is my pleasure to introduce my friend and longtime Zenny62 on YouTube viewer. Thank you very much, Nick Dehejia. Nick, how are you? And
I'm
welcome.
fantastic, Zenny. Thanks for making the time to chat.
Oh, hey, thanks for making the time to be on the show. Very excited to introduce the CEO of the Oakland Zoo. And I want to do this for people who have just moved to Oakland, who are eligible to vote, who don't know anything about the parcel tax, who may have thought, gee, I want to go to the zoo one day these days very soon. Nick, tell them about the zoo. Because I say I have been a major proponent. I remember the last fundraiser we had, and I had a little code thing on the side where you could actually, donate and everything.
Yeah.
Now we have a parcel tax. Tell them about the zoo and what's happening and why the parcel tax is so badly needed.
Well, listen, I think for people who haven't been to the zoo, let me just say, right? So the Oakland Zoo has been in the city of Oakland for 100 years. We are celebrating in this year, 2022, 100 years of being in this city. And when you think about
100 years.
Those organizations that have been around for 100 years, it's not that many in the city of Oakland. So your Oakland Zoo, 100 acres in a park, Nolan Park. Think zoo, you've got elephants and lions and tigers and giraffe. But in 2018, we expanded the zoo and opened up what is the California Trail exhibit. So that is our California native, animal human history. So you take this incredible gondola rides, and I'm going to put in a plug, right? If you're coming through the East Bayway through, the Oakland Airport, which I love to fly out of, you're coming through Amtrak right through Emeryville, or you're coming, from other parts by car. It's a great place to be outdoors because Oakland has some wonderful places to visit, and the zoo is one of them. So a great place to be outdoors. You come and you take this gondola, think ski gondola, enclosed cabin. You go, from the lower part of the zoo and you go take an 8-minute ride up to the top, and you get to this incredible 650 feet above sea level. You're looking at downtown Oakland. You're looking at the bay. You're looking at San Francisco, an incredible view, and you're at a zoo. So
and it's something else.
It's a great view from up there, but more importantly, it allows us to share. In this case, when you're at the California Trail, the story of California native animals, the story of grizzly bears on our state flag, no longer in the state. Why? We as humans killed them, and we get to talk about also hope. It's not just about what's gone wrong. You've got bald eagles up there, and you talk about DDT in the 60s and how we're able to bring the bald eagle back. We have the wolves up there. Wolves haven't been in California for 100 years. We have 2 ambassador wolves. They had a litter. We can talk about the story of wolves in California. They're not vicious. They're not going to kill people. They're not going to attack, ranchers. We get to have that story. We have the California condor, an incredible bird, down to 22 in the wild, now back up into the 500s. And as you go around, jaguar, mountain lion, black bear, bison, an incredible program with the Blackfeet tribe nation in Montana. You really start to understand that the zoo is, number one, it's a great place to get out. It's a great place to have fun. But, our purpose and goal is how do we educate youth? How do we educate people of all ages about habitat loss and destruction and species loss, and hey, what can we do? Not only what can we do to save elephants in Africa. I've got an elephant right behind me. Right, yeah, there we go, right over there.
Right there, yeah.
How do you save elephants in Africa that are declining? Tusks are getting poached, and what can we do in such an incredible species? But listen, what can we do here in Oakland? How do we save the black-crowned night heron that the zoo has been part of in downtown Oakland? That we've rescued 140 birds falling out of the trees, bring them to the zoo, and move them on to other facilities to get care for. So how do we take care of mountain lions? We've rescued 21 mountain lions in the last 4 years. Why? Wildfires in California are burning as much as people are suffering because of the wildfires. The animals are suffering as well. So and the urbanization that is happening. We're no longer, it's not our space and their space. There isn't much wild space left. How do we coexist together, humans and animals? right here in Oakland, right here in California, right? These are not things that are just happening somewhere else. It's happening right here in our backyard. So, long way of saying, hey, come to the zoo, experience what we're trying to share, learn about how you can help. And again, I like to stress this. It's not just kids. Kids are incredibly important. They're the future. We just held a festival for the United Seniors of Oakland and Alameda County at the zoo. Every year we do this. We had well over 1,500 seniors come out for a free day at the zoo, because as much as it is about youth, it's about people of all ages, get out and exercise. Boy, did we need that during the pandemic.
Yeah.
And I will tell you, so we were closed for 7 months of the pandemic, right? Open, close, going back and forth with the county health department and the governor. And we were saying, please let us open. We're an outdoor facility. People need to get outside. And I will tell you, we reconnected to the outdoors during the pandemic in a way that I think we always knew it, but we need to get back, to the outdoors. And
mental health.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. I will tell you, but at the zoo, think about it. The lights don't turn off. The lights don't turn off and you go home during the pandemic. And thank you, Derek. I really appreciate it. Hey, this is beautiful, Zenny. Thank you, Derek, for that comment. But we were closed for 7 months. The animals, every day, our animal staff showed up, our veterinary staff showed up. And you think about all of the support functions around the zoo, our security team, our grounds, our janitorial, our horticulture, to make this all work, because we were shut, but we had to run the operation. And that became really important. So fundamentally, don't ever want to be in that place again.
No.
Don't ever want to be in that place again. And boy, I know a lot of us were feeling this, running organizations, to say that, we need to build resiliency. We need to get out of this.
Mm-hmm.
And so part of why Measure Y is a parcel tax measure on the Oakland ballot in less than 30 days. Number one is help us build our resiliency, but it's a lot more than that. We're trying to bridge, right?
Mm-hmm.
100 years old, what does the future look like for the zoo? Future of animals and animal care, future of all of the wildlife rescue that we're working on. Mentioned the mountain lions, but it's much more than that. Science education. Listen, science education in Oakland. Schools are getting shut down.
Yep.
Kids are getting the short end of the stick through no fault of their own. And that's a problem, right?
Yep.
So we created some programs with teachers in Oakland Unified to roll out climate literacy programs, and we're piloting that right now. Expanding science education is critical. I've been saying this forever. It's critical. But here's the other element, if I can, right? Yes. I became CEO a year and a half ago. And one of the most important things was access to the zoo, mm-hmm. right? When we think about, there are 240 good accredited zoos and aquariums around the country. I'd like to say we're one of the best in Oakland.
Yep.
Because we are bold. We do a lot of things to be bold, but there are segments of the community that are not coming to the zoo. And when I'm going to be more specific, there are Black and brown communities not coming to the zoo.
Mm-hmm.
So how do we, and in my role as a person of color, and I will admit, a person who has privilege, but open up this opportunity for the zoo to be a place where they feel comfortable, they can mm-hmm. learn, they can engage, because I got to tell you, I was so proud. I had Dr. Jane Goodall at the zoo last week.
Right.
And to have Dr. Jane Goodall talk about not only how she values the Oakland Zoo, but she was speaking to Oakland kids. She was speaking to Oakland kids to say, we all got to be in this together. Mm-hmm. And, that was really important. We had kids from Oakland Tech. We had kids from Castlemont High School. We had kids from Northern Light School. How do we bring everybody in so they get the same experience, they get the same opportunity, and there's an easy way to do that, right? So part of this is just getting them access, right? Giving them a free pass to get in, right? So part of Measure Y, yep. We give about 10,000 passes currently, want to give 100,000 passes. We want to give access to those impacted groups to get into the zoo. And it's also about those school kids. So scholarships to come to zoo camp, scholarships to experience what we're experiencing. That's a big part of Measure Y and the allocation of funding to be able to do that. And then, quite honestly, 25% discount for all Oaklanders to come to the zoo. That is really important. Look, this is Oakland Zoo. Literally, the city of Oakland's zoo. I mean, we're a private nonprofit. I want to make that clear. We are a nonprofit running this institution, but wanting to give access to communities. So when I think about where we are coming out of the pandemic and rebounding, where we are going, I'm thinking about what does the next 100 years look like? And, where do zoos go? And what is our role in this community, not just what we do in Africa and Asia, and certainly all those important issues and conservation issues that we want to deal on a global basis. But it starts at home, right?
Yes.
I think conservation starts at home. And after seeing Jane Goodall, and I will tell you what an honor for me to have an opportunity to see this preeminent leader come to Oakland. Let me just tell you, she didn't go to the San Francisco Zoo. She came to the Oakland Zoo. And nothing against, any other zoo. I love zoos. Everybody's got to have a great experience. But she took the opportunity to come to Oakland, and that's what I'm deeply proud of because of what we do. And this is the beginning, Zenny. This is the beginning of how this zoo can continue to transform into the future. So I can keep talking, Zenny. I'm going to pause.
I'm putting out on Twitter 25% discount for all local. Oh. Yeah, I want to make sure that was gotten out there, so I took a picture. Of that. So I was like,
and let's be clear. Mm-hmm. This discount happens if Measure Y passes. Mm-hmm. If Measure Y passes. And so that's where wanting to just get the community of Oakland to understand, listen, and I will tell you, during the pandemic, there were a lot of people who stepped up to care for the zoo.
Yeah.
A lot of people who said, hey, this zoo has meant a lot to my family, has meant a lot, to my kids, but not only my kids, grandparents to kids talking about the value of the zoo. And it's our role and responsibility to give back into this community. And that's what I'm trying to do. And this doesn't happen in a year and 2 years and 5 years. This is more of a value commitment to the zoo.
I tweeted it out.
Thank you.
There you go.
I appreciate it.
You got it.
So that's sort of what this is about. Look, and this facility, think about 100 years in Oakland. We started at Snow Park at 19th and Harrison 100 years ago. Yep. That's where the Snow Museum and now the Snow Park is. That was where we were. We then moved to Joaquin Miller Park, and then ultimately to Nolan Park. So, I got to tell you, I've been at the zoo. I'm just starting my 17th year at the zoo. I am deeply proud of the opportunity that this zoo provides in the community. And I know, Zenny, you care about the zoo and you care about what it means. And
absolutely.
And I remember how do we engage more people into our staff, into the from a guest standpoint. And there's a continued role for us to play. Because I want people to, I always say, why is this zoo different? And I will say to the people who haven't been in the zoo, we are one of the only, if not the only zoo in the country endorsed by PETA.
Yep.
Why is that? Because we shut down roadside attractions. We have 2 tigers that are in our zoo right now that we brought in from Oklahoma that were think Tiger King, Joe Exotic, pay for play, the worst of unfortunately the worst of the human side of us, right? Animals are not for our entertainment.
No, not at all.
Right? They're not for our abuse. And, so we shut down a facility and brought a whistleblower called us, and we shut down a facility and brought these 2 tigers. They had been on cinder block their whole life in a cage. They never touched dirt or grass. Think of a cat, a big cat, a scratching post. They'd never done this. So we gave them a much better existence. And we've done that time and time again for animals in need. And we've done it for cats for 30 years. We rescued our prior, whether it's from the circus or from other bad situations. That's what makes me proud. We don't get it out enough, Zenny, but this zoo is about really standing up for rescuing from deplorable conditions, bring them in. Because I'll tell you, I get a lot of questions. I say, well, it's a zoo. I feel a little uncomfortable about a zoo. And I'll say, well, I understand what you're saying. And let me tell you why we're a little different. Because for us, oftentimes these animals are coming to us through no fault of their own.
Right.
No fault of their own. Now it is up to us to give them the best home possible. And that's what's really important, because they deserve to live that life in the same way that we do. So I'm talking about animals, but the reality is we got to connect those kids, animals, and connect that story, because that's fundamentally what we need. Is we need, again, young kids to be the future generation. People expect us to do the right thing in Oakland, and we will always do the right thing in Oakland at the Oakland Zoo.
Hey, Nick, it occurs to me too that the zoo has a major role to play in explaining the impact of climate change as we go through this and in the future. And I haven't heard anybody talk about that. What about that? Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. You're absolutely right. Look, it is all interconnected. So when we talk about why are we getting animals to the zoo, why are we rescuing animals, what's going on? The choices that people make, what they buy, what they choose to eat, how they choose to spend their money, who they elect into office. All of this has an impact in terms of creating an awareness and an understanding around the impacts of climate change. So we certainly talk about it with school kids, let me tell you. And so what I mentioned earlier, we have developed, co-designed a curriculum with Oakland Unified School teachers specifically around climate literacy. And so this is actually up on our website. So you go to oaklandzoo.org and you can look at our climate change section of our website. And this is free to download. Download materials, download lesson plans. This is to all teachers and others who want to see this. So absolutely, everything that we do is centered around engaging people into action. And so part of that action is climate change and the awareness of it. And so that's a really important part. So, we have teachers on staff. We go to the schools. We bring kids from schools to the zoo. And we have different events and opportunities for engagement. And so that's part of what this is about, how to create opportunities. Yeah, we talk about illegal wildlife trade, which is really important. I think if you visit to the education site there,
sure,
and you pull that down, you'll see that as well. Yeah, climate change right there. There you go. There, California Climate Learning Project. There's a lot of rich information on this site. So we absolutely talk about it. It's really important that we offer these tools and these resources to kids and teachers. So that's a piece of this, right? So, but I will tell you, fundamentally, it starts at a young age.
This is huge, by the way. This is recent. This redesign.
This just went up last month, right?
This looks great.
So there's a lot. Yeah, please encourage all of your viewers and everybody to really dive into this. Request a field trip, right? Look at these discovery kits that we have that teachers can check out into the classroom. Look, we were very thankful that we had a private individual give us some resources to really develop this program. But when it comes to how do we build this zoo in a much larger way into the future and give back that has impact in the community, we need everybody to engage. And so that's why Measure Y is on the ballot. It's a public-private partnership. It always is, and it always will be. And I will say to those who wonder, how are zoos funded? So typically, your really good zoos get about 30% of their funding or more from public sources. We get less than 8% of our budget. So it's very hard to plan that way, right? We rely, we get the City of Oakland General Fund gives us $171,000. And that's it. We look to other sources of funding to support us. And I think this is where, asking the community of Oakland to step up for your zoo, to know that we've been here for 100 years, so we know how to do this. but give us the resource to really blow it out and build it out for the future. For kids, for access, again, really, really important. I want the next Jane Goodall to come out of the Oakland Zoo, right? That might be a tall order, but heck, if we give somebody an opportunity, you just never know. Like Derek just mentioned, he found his path. Thankfully, I appreciate that, Derek, through the zoo with animal conservation by visiting. And listen, you just don't know where the light bulb goes off. And if we can do it here at the zoo, I will tell you, we have made huge progress. And so that's what I'm excited about.
And here's some of the news. Oakland Zoo rescues 140 black crowned night herons from downtown Oakland streets. That was just recently, this September 27th, right? Here.
Yep, absolutely. And again, like I mentioned, conservation is global, action starts local. So and this is Oakland's bird, by the way, Zenny. The black crowned night heron is the official bird of the city of Oakland. And they're sitting there nesting on the trees in downtown Oakland. And as they're born and they're fledgling and they don't quite know how to fly, they're falling out of the nest, but they're falling onto the city street. And they're scrambling to get under cars. They're getting run over. Why they're doing it there, it's a hard one to answer. We've tried to move them to Lake Merritt. We've tried to, do other things. But for now, this is where they are. So along with the Audubon, Golden Gate Audubon Society and International Bird Rescue, we formed a partnership. We created the Heron Rescue Team, the Oakland Zoo staff going down there 7 days a week during the nesting season to rescue these birds. So that's what we want to do more of in the city of Oakland. We get calls, I'll tell you, to go down to Lake Merritt. There was a pelican that had a fishing hook wrapped around its neck.
Yes.
So they brought that pelican. Our staff went down there, brought him to the zoo, to our hospital. We have the ability to care for these animals, and that's something we want to do. And the more we can get this out to kids and schools and share that's what we're here for.
And again, oaklandzoo.org. Don't forget that, folks. oaklandzoo.org right here to do it. And we're going to have this man back, and we're going to talk more and more about the Oakland Zoo beyond the election.
Absolutely. I would love to do that. Listen, as I mentioned, I've been here into my 17th year, just took over a year and a half ago as CEO. There's a lot to do, and there's a great history of this zoo and this community, and my predecessor, who's well known, Dr. Joel Perry.
Yep.
Who for 37 years ran this zoo and built it to where it is, and now we've got the next evolution of where we're going and what's important today and into the future. So what I would say just to end is really, as you go to the ballot, vote by mail is happening and ballots are dropping. Think about the trust that you place in the zoo, the trust that you place in the zoo, whether it's with your kids or your family or your parents, what we can do for the future generation of kids, what we can do to rescue animals and care for them and the wildlife. Think about science education and the role that we can play. And listen, go down ballot. There's a lot of things on the ballot, as you know, it always is. But just think about that, because we will deeply take care of your investment in the zoo and give back to the community. And that's what we stand here for 100 years. And I'm here, as a CEO now to do that for us, into the future. So really appreciate it.
Hey, Nick, and appreciate you being here. We'll be back. And folks, remember, Oakland Zoo, and also for more, subscribe to Zenny62 on YouTube and bookmark Oakland News Now, blog.com. Nick, stick around in the background.
I will do. Thank you.
Definitely. And folks, that ends this broadcast. We'll be back for more later. Stick around.